I understand, but at the very least, while we are on this particular tangent,
a very relevant tangent.
Relevant, but somewhat tangential. I guess what should be noted is
Lost it.
no no, I always do that. I hate that.
Welcome back. Where did this all start?
No, that was funny. Okay, no.
We're talking about relation.
Yeah. Oh, okay. No, what I was gonna say was that I guess what a lot of people would feel, at least those who support the idea of dismissing the idea of a non-physical mind, is basically that you're self-necessitating at that point. Basically, you're creating a situation where there needs to be a non-physical mind just because you want to believe there's a non-physical mind, and there really isn't a rationale. It's a lot, which is why they continue to be dismissive, even if you say it's only relationship oriented, because you're saying, well, why do you need it? What purpose does it serve? Obviously, there's a theological one, but at that point, it's like, why is it even tethered to you? Shouldn't your soul just be flying around whispering in your ear, hey, don't do that? You want to go to heaven.
I hear it.
Rather than being tethered to you as most people think of it, in the sort of cartoon, oh, they die and their soul flies up, and that kind of thing. But then again, that's tangential, but you understand where I'm going with that, right?
I think I do. Correct me if I'm wrong, maybe I completely missed the point, but from what I understand, because my point originally was about the relationship between something that is physical, so let's say the mind. The apparent fact that there is something called causation that we can observe immediately in almost any kind of physical entity. That if I were to tip the ground, there's an immediate reaction, vibration that comes from a sound maybe. So there seems to be a relation of physical things to non-physical things, and a non-physical category I'll put forward is the fact that I'm experiencing all things as a perceiver. I don't know too abstract, but there seems to be the only relation we have between them is that because I did this, and I'm experiencing that, therein lies the relation the pragmatist did. Because it works, it hasn't changed. My experience hasn't changed with the conscious ability that I did that. Therein lies the relation that I'm talking about.
Well, yeah, but, for the most part, people can say all that kind of stuff is physical. You can say, I have an organ called the brain, pistons fire, okay, I can move my arm. Oh, if I decide to stab myself, I will feel pain, that's nerves, There is no, even though there's sort of an emotional, non-physical level to my human experience, it isn't necessarily that there's a non-physical component to existence. Now, understand this. Frankly, I am, at least in some small way, playing the devil's advocate here. But you at least understand what I'm saying in this regard. It's, at the very least, within that sort of worldview, perfectly reasonable to be dismissive of this premise because there's nothing that necessitates it other than theology.
I don't know, people can be, unconscious but alive, or, they can, I don't know, it's weird because when you die, your body's right there. That person's still there, but there's something missing. And people die from different things, whether they get shot in the stomach and bleed to death, or their heart, they have a heart attack.
Oh, I certainly understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
At least to the degree that, say you're with a loved one, they're on their deathbed, and when they go, the room feels less full, like something less.
Or just their body, period. It's it's still there, why is that person dead? There's something, some sort of energy that keeps the body alive that no longer exists.
Yeah, I
You can't
think
see
in this
it.
respect, the only, and I'm going to take this from this angle only because this is the way I kind of put against towards stuff subjectively. And that makes sense in a second. When somebody dies, we can't say, I know what the dead person experienced because, they experienced, an absence of life, and this is life, therefore, whatever else. Whatever their experience is mysterious. Yeah. But I think we could all relate, again, to unconscious experiences. I knocked out, I got so drunk, I woke up the next morning. But there was that gap, and that gap is what I'm referring to. I can refer to that subjectively because I have experienced it. It's not like I can say that I've died because I died and came back. Some people can't, I guess. But then again, that would constitute as a gap. Now, this is relevant towards the relationship experience. I know what you're saying, that a materialist can always look at this and say, I don't know, any sort of thing in the physical world is could be explained in naturalistic terms, including the things that seem non-physical, the mind, for instance. But when you point at everything and say the minds are just, you know, the pistons and the firing and, you know, the neurons and stuff, that still doesn't count, in my opinion, for the reality beyond that. And when I say that, it probably doesn't have a lot of impact as far as words are concerned, but there's something very different than me looking at an object and me being that object. Me being able to look back with, you know, whatever mode of perception, albeit eyes or nose or some sort of vibrative sense or something. That variability to kind of perceive, to me, seems not explainable just within the main frame of physical.
You mean like just sentience?
Sensations, but as long like a self-conscious being.
Yeah, self-aware, sentience.
Yeah, sentience. Okay.
You know, a sentient being.
Yeah, okay, a sentient being.
So I believe it's the proper term. But yeah, you know, they say some chimpanzees are sentient, but not all of them. Just, you know, some of the top whatever intelligence, you know. But and then obviously human beings are sentient, but and it's that sort of self-aware factor is what they determine sentience by.
Sure. I mean, would most creatures? Wouldn't that seem obvious? Most creatures are sentient.
Well, no. Sentience and being self-aware is more of this idea of being aware of your surroundings. Not, you know, sometimes it has a little bit to do with rationality rather than instinct.
Let's take it to Descartes. As long as
dog has it.
yeah, as long
They
as
know to walk around.
Well, yeah, but it's not to say that, you know, animals are, you know, so unintelligent, because that's not what people who make the distinction between, you know, a sentient and non-sentient being are saying. They're saying that a being that is sentient is self-aware. They're acknowledged. They have a sense of self. They're very acknowledged, and they have a more of a contemplative, logical side, whereas a being that is not is much more instinctual.
Well, when I say self-aware, I don't just refer to the, I guess, ability to have this and plus characteristics of the criteria of some sort of intelligent thing. I'm talking at the very, I guess, Descartes level of the ability to at least recognize, not even that you're thinking, but as long as you are thinking. For instance, a baby might not ever question, you know, I think therefore I am, or something as complex as an idea that is, but they will, I guess, be able to experience their surroundings and cry and maneuver with, I guess, their emotions. So to some level, I think I would take most creatures to...
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly not a popular opinion, but I mean, for me, if you want to be so dictionary, so categorical, at a certain point, you know, obviously, you know, embryos and fetuses are not sentient. Babies and toddlers are not sentient. Maybe even young children aren't sentient, you know, at a certain degree. And that begs the question, where do you draw the line? But that's sort of something that became very interesting to me, because I thought about it because I was sort of interested in the whole abortion debate, because that was one of the factors. I thought, okay, why would it be permissible to have an abortion? Well, is the, you know, being has the capacity to suffer, are they sentient? All those kind of factors come up, and then ultimately you have to think, well, are they sentient? And you know, there's obviously those who would disagree, and of course we have to do a better job of defining sentient, which we just don't have the resources with us today, unfortunately.
You know, I'm really tempted to move around. I'm sorry.
I think we should.
No, not to go back to free will. If that's probably what I was going to say.
Oh yeah.
I mean, because I really don't know where else to try with free will, other than the fact that I think really what's already been said, but words and meaning. We could very well convert this day into, I don't know, like a different topic. If you wish, because this is technically the last day.
Okay.
But if you have any other last
Actually, compatibilism. Compatibilism, baby.
Yeah, because, I don't know, for me, words and meaning have really been taking, I guess, a big share in almost every philosophical argument. Usually all my arguments for things like free will
Yeah.
or